Hey, do buckaroos! How the heck are you? So I'm here with the Schlafly Extra Stout, 8%, 45 IBUs. Schlafly Irish Style Extra Stout amplifies the tradition of drier version of the drier version from Ireland for a bolder black brew. Okay, they call it an extra stout. They don't call it an FES style, which is probably where it's more statistically in line with. But let's just see what they got here. Actually, I've had this in years past, and I've always loved it. I don't know if it's changed this year or not. I've said this before in other videos, so at the risk of repeating myself, I know I'm going to say it again. I think Schlafly's a brewery that gets overlooked. I think they're doing some fine beers, and I think they get overlooked because they don't do as many out-of-the-box beers as some St. Louis craft breweries such as Four Hands or Perennial Artisan. But what they've done well since about 91, I believe, is do traditional styles and do them well. I mean, their pale ale is closer to a traditional pale ale than an APA. It's only 4.4%, but the thing is just on point. Everything they do is just stylistically correct. So I think because of that, they tend to get overlooked by beer geeks because they don't go enough out of the box. But I think everything they do is fantastic. Their golden ale is great. I mean, they just do a lot of fine stuff. But this one in particular has always been one of my favorites. One, because I love the dry stout. I'm an American of Irish heritage. My great-grandfather, I guess, came over from Ireland. My dad was exactly 50% Irish, 50% German. My grandfather, on my dad's side, married a German woman. The surname was Becker. So you had the Mulvihill Becker line there. But I've always thought I've taken more after the Irish side because I've never had the urge to invade Poland. Anyways, bad jokes aside. Yeah, I know, so I think that's probably why I do have a taste for beer, both Irish styles and German styles. But I have always had an affinity for the Irish dry stout. I'm a little stuffy, so bear with me on the notes. You really feel that roasted black barley in a big way on the nose here. It gives you hints of a bittersweet chocolate along with some coffee as well. Oh, I took a rather large first drink. Oh, it's very nice. I'm going to take another drink before I give any notes here. Roasted black barley and chocolate are the first things you're going to notice. Or the first things I noticed was the roasted black barley and chocolate. And it's lovely, man. It's just beautiful. There's almost like a kind of a bitter dark roast coffee there at the end. Finishes very dry and earthy, as you expect the style to. It's just a nice version of the style. It does take some liberties, right? This isn't, I mean, they don't call it an FES. It's not meant to be exactly an Irish foreign export style or extra stout. It's meant to be an American craft version of. They stay pretty true to style here. I mean, I gotta tell you, I mean, I don't think any actual Irish folks would take offense to this beer. I think it does everything right. But yeah, I mean, it is an American beer, so it's okay for us to take some liberties because, gosh darn it, we're Americans. That's what we do. Oh, wow. The finish is what's gorgeous, though. Again, it finishes very dry. Very earthy, and then you kind of get those hints of that dark roast coffee that I was telling you about right there in the finish. All through the middle there, you just get that nice roasted barley, the roasted black barley. There are some big dark chocolate notes in there as well, but it really is the barley that's the star here. This is a nice beer on every level. I just like it. I like like Schlafly Brewing. I think they just, I think they're just underrated by most craft beer geeks, snobs, enthusiasts, whatever you choose to call yourself. I think they tend to get overlooked when people go to St. Louis. They're looking to hit Four Hands or Perennial Artisan. Not that I don't think those breweries are great. I really love Four Hands. I think Perennial Artisan is doing some great beers. I do think they're a tad bit overhyped, but that's just my opinion. I've said it before. They're doing some great out-of-the-box stuff. They really are. I'm not taking anything away from that brewery. But I think a lot of other breweries are getting overlooked at the expense of them. And that's a problem for me because Urban Chestnut, Four Hands, Schlafly, there are several other breweries out there. Heavy Riff, I don't think they're doing any bottling yet. But there's a lot of great breweries in St. Louis that are getting overlooked because they're stealing all the thunder because they somehow became a craft beer darling. I think Perennial Artisan's doing some fine stuff. But Schlafly's been doing fine stuff for a whole lot of years, and a lot of those breweries wouldn't be there if it weren't for this brewery doing what they've done for that amount of time. And that's my personal opinion. Alrighty then. So, hey, I'm the Beer Whisperer. On that note, I'm going to call it a night, unless there's somebody else I need to offend.